Welcome back everybody to another MOTOBOB video from EICMA 2025, and this time you join us at the CFMOTO stand, which I think is fair to say is pretty impressive. They always put on a good show, and they've got a few interesting new announcements, but the one that really caught my eye is the bike behind us, or the two bikes rather. This is their new 1000MT-X adventure bike, and I think it looks like it could be a fantastic new proposition in that 8 to 1000cc segment of the market where you've got lots of good bikes, but there's always opportunity for a brand like CFMOTO to come in and offer something similar but at a lower price point. So in this video we'll go through all of the details with everything that you need to know about it. Now if you watch our weekly news show, you'll have heard me talk about this particular bike because it's been rumoured for quite some time now. But one thing that's definitely been wrong in all of the hype that's been swirling over the past couple of months about this bike is the engine configuration. It had been claimed that they were working on an inline triple with even firing intervals, so something similar to what you used to get in the Triumph Tiger 800 or maybe something like an MV Agusta triple. In reality though, it turns out that it's a parallel twin, much like in their 800MT-X. And so, yeah, it's not perhaps quite as unique, let's say, on the motorcycle market. There's a lot of parallel twins in that particular segment, like the KTM 890, the BMW F950 GS, the Husqvarna Norden 901. And so maybe a bit of a shame that we're not getting more variety on the adventure bike market, but all the same, I'm sure this is still going to be a fantastic bike. One thing that was correct in some of the rumours I've read from some of the Spanish publications was the amount of power to expect. They were saying it had come in around 110 horses, and CFMOTO confirmed in the press release earlier today that it's 111 at 8,500 RPM, so pretty much bang on the nose. We're talking 105 Newton meters of peak torque as well at 6,250, and so it really should be, you know, very competitive on power and torque with the rest of those mid to large capacity adventure bikes. And so this will definitely be a bike I'm looking forward to riding. Now, some of the reports I've seen have said that this is a brand new engine that CFMOTO have worked on from the ground up. But it does sound suspiciously similar in capacity to the KTM 990 that they use in the 990 Duke, for example. Also, the engine cases look a little bit similar as well, and they've got quite a long history now of sharing development and sharing components. So I'll have to do a bit more digging to find out if that's necessarily the case. But then again, I rode the 990 Duke last year and it is absolutely brilliant, very entertaining indeed, and the engine's a big part of that, and so it should be a strong performer in this bike as well. Plus, if you're talking about similarities with KTM, it also gets that low-hanging fuel tank design, which is super common across the KTM Adventure lineup. And it means that the weight of the fuel is held particularly low, which means that bikes do feel very manageable at low speeds, even when they're fully fueled up. It also means no sloshing as the bike tips, so the, I suppose, handling of the bike stays more consistent. And it still means you can get a lot of fuel in there with 22.5 litres in this particular bike, which should give it some serious range. CFMOTO, you know, there's always the caveat of having to ride very steadily in order to hit these official figures, but they claim it can do 450 kilometers on a tank, which is huge numbers, right up there for this category of bike, and that equates to 280 miles, which I think is plenty for an adventure touring style of bike. Now, before we get on to how the chassis is spec'd up, I just want to say a massive thanks to Calimoto for supporting the channel and sponsoring all of our EICMA coverage. Calimoto is a brilliant motorcycle-specific navigation app which uses their own algorithm to seek out the best twisty routes so you can avoid the boring straight stuff. We've got 25-year memberships to give away at EICMA, so if you are here at the show, come and say hello and hopefully I'll have one left to give to you. But if you're not here, don't worry, we've got a 10% discount which you can find down in the description below, and so do check that out if you want to plan brilliant motorcycle routes, all from the convenience of the Calimoto app. Now, you can see in terms of the frame, a little bit of steel trellis poking out the side there, and also a bolt-on subframe. So if you do damage the subframe when you're riding off-road, if you drop the bike, then it's easier to change than writing off the whole bike or changing the whole frame, which, as you can imagine, is quite a lot of work. Apparently, The frame and subframe comes in at 15 kilograms, which they're saying is nice and light. And that's one of the contributing factors to a relatively light dry weight of 199 kilograms. Now, I can see with such a big fuel tank as to why they haven't quoted a wet figure. I guess fully fueled up, it's going to be more like 220 to 230, but all the same, you know, a fully spec'd up Tiger 900 Rally Pro is 228 kilos. Maybe the KTM 890 a little lighter at 215 to 220, but it sounds like this bike, when it is full of oil, fluids and fuel, is going to be right in the right area to be a good ride, both on road and off. Suspension, I believe, is fully adjustable. We can't quite get close to these two bikes to have a good look at the adjusters on the top of the forks there, but it did say in the press release, fully adjustable suspension from KYB. Brakes are from Brembo with a pair of 4-piston radially mounted monoblock calipers there, so a nice little bit of bling as well. Sometimes you tend to find unbranded brakes on the more affordable bikes, but always nice to see on the front there. Definitely helps with the looks as well. Off-road biased wheels with a 21-incher up front and 18 at the rear. They're spoke to course. I believe they're tube type, but I'd have to double check. And then the tyres that come as standard on this bike are the Pirelli Scorpion Rally STRs. They're surprisingly good on the road for, you know, like a semi-knobbly tyre. Off-road, probably okay for light gravel work and stuff like that. But really a good all-rounder for, you know, getting started when you ride a bike like this straight out the dealer. Now, as for how the ergonomics are set up, well, I'm not going to hop the rope and go and sit on it, but it does look very typical of your average sort of middleweight adventure bike. I'd expect a fairly tall seat height, maybe 830 to 850. They do say they've designed it to be very narrow, though, and so that should help with standover and reaching the ground, but also agility on the bike and maneuverability on the bike when you are tackling perhaps some more technical off-road stuff. Bars are also said to be adjustable, which is non-negotiable really if you want to go between a road setup where you want them further back and perhaps more relaxed versus having them higher and further forward for standing. And they also confirm that the windscreen is adjustable, so you can move that up and down and have it up for more wind protection on the road and maybe push it down to get it out the way when you're stood up off-road. Tech, they say, comes in the form of an 8-inch touchscreen dash. There is an inertial measurement unit to give you lean-sensitive rider aids. There are 5 riding modes. There's cornering TC and ABS, a quick shifter, tyre pressure monitoring, heated grips, heated saddle, cruise control, and I think the best thing about all this tech is all of that comes as standard. I think it's pretty rare to get a heated saddle or certainly tyre pressure monitoring fitted as standard on a bike. And so that's one of the areas in which manufacturers like CFMOTO tend to offer that extra bit of value for money. On top of that, I believe some of the protection like the sump guard and the hand guards also come as standard, so it's nice to see it well equipped without even having to touch the accessories catalogue. As for styling, well, it's typical of their adventure bike lineup. It looks a lot like the 800MT-X, but just with a slightly butcher presence. And I believe it will be available either in this signature silver, pink and blue, which I think looks great, or a more subdued tactical green, they call it, which is more so typical, I'd say, of the adventure market. You see a lot of bikes available in a sort of military or khaki green. Unfortunately, this one down the end with the bronze finish and the black and white, that one is a special edition, I think. It's called Crafted in Italy. I think it's to show what's possible maybe if you did custom paint it, but I don't believe that one will be available on the production market. But still, with the green and the blue and white, I think there's a nice variety there between something quite punchy and then also something a little more stealthy. No price on this one as of yet, but an 890 KTM for reference is about 11.5 grand. So with the slightly bigger engine, all that standard equipment, despite the fact that this will probably be their flagship adventure bike, I'd still expect them to come in somewhere around that 11 to 11.5 kind of mark. That would make it a really interesting proposition. It'd massively undercut as well stuff like the Desert X or the Tiger 900. And that's typically what they've done with pretty much most of their other bikes in all different genres of the motorcycle market. as always, I'd love to know what you think of this bike, so do let me know down in the comments below. I think this looks like a brilliant addition to the adventure bike market, but do let me know what you think. And also, I'll put our playlist on the screen now with all of our EICMA videos, so you can give them a click and stay up to date. A massive thanks again to Kalimoto. Check out that code if you want to pick up a membership. Hit subscribe if you want to see the videos as soon as they come out. A huge thanks for watching this one, and we'll see you in the next video.